G'day, hi, and welcome. Alright, let's just jump into this. Okay, so got some Gen X picture show here. It's kind of how us Gen Xers kind of grew up and stuff like that. I figured I'd do a video on, rather than politics and stuff like that, something that I can kind of show anywhere and everywhere. Just stuff you can do to stay sane. Like, go play with some lawn darts. Yeah. My childhood was awesome. That wasn't me, by the way. That was some guy that just, he wasn't, I guess, wasn't cut out for playing lawn darts. But there's Tony Hawk. You know what I mean? Like that's what Gen X kids did with stuff like that, right? Um, we have a hard time right now to find things to keep ourselves occupied from the grimness of the world. And I was watching, I don't know what her channel, what was her name? Anyway, she's done this kind of like skit where she pretends like a future version of herself meets herself during the pandemic, like just before the pandemic and during and stuff like that. And okay, maybe politically I might not agree with some of the stuff, the side she's on, but I think it was well done. And I'm like, okay, well that's pretty creative. It was pretty cynical and nihilistic and everything like that. But it just shows that, you can endure tough times if you give yourself a little bit of creativity. Like for myself, example, I've always got stuff to work on. It's just right now it's wintertime. Wintertime is the worst time for a Canadian, typically, because when it's like minus 30 some, you can't go anywhere. Why? Because your car battery's dead. In my case, yesterday was my aunt's car wouldn't start. Today it was my truck wouldn't start. So, and then going walking through my little town, like almost every car has its hood up. So it's like, yeah, battery dead, battery dead, battery. It was like minus 30 something last night, like a real snapping cold too. So I got to charge up my battery for tomorrow. Um, so you just it's hard to go anywhere and go and do anything, and it's hard to socialize now. Like it's really hard to socialize even if you're vaccinated. Like it's hard to socialize because you can't just go to a place and say, okay, I'm vaccinated and I can go mingle, right? I'm sure some people are doing it, but you don't get away with it for very long. So you have to kind of make your own fun. You have to kind of do your own thing. So for me, the thing staying close to home is music. I've always been a music guy, pretty much from the time I was born. I was pretty much born with a guitar in my hand. You know what I mean? And I'm into the recording angle now, and you'll be hearing hopefully some of my new songs in the next couple of weeks or so. It depends on how many opportunities I get to record. Like I don't have a studio where I can just go and lock myself in there for like 2 weeks and then come out with a masterpiece album type of thing, right? Um, but the thing is it's like you gotta do something creative and produce something. It doesn't matter what it is if you want to stay healthy minded, in the world we live in right now. So obviously the number one thing that would be the best for people is socialization. And one thing Gen X got right was the socialization angle, right? So we were probably the generation that could rally the most people to a concert, no doubt. You know what I mean? Like that was us. And if you look at it, like really, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the big superstars, some of the concerts were like, like some of the Metallica concerts had like, 300,000. That's almost 500,000 people. Okay, it's not, it's close enough to a 500,000, right? I don't know what the world record would be for a concert. It definitely wouldn't be Woodstock or like that. It would be some sort of a metal concert, almost guaranteed. And like to see like a crowd of people, the biggest crowd I've ever been in would probably have been 1 million people on a Canada Day, but that took up the entire downtown core. That was something to see a sea of people, of 1 million people, and you couldn't see them all because somewhere in the side streets or whatever. But knowing that there was 1 million people in one downtown core, That was something to experience. I got like it took us, me and my buddies said, okay, we got to go from one end just to see how. Say we walk through a crowd of 1 million people. It took us like 20 minutes to walk, around the downtown Ottawa core, and it was just like there was just so many people. Like, it was just like you felt like a salmon going up a river. You know what I mean? It was like you were packed in there. Like, sorry, it was something else. There was people crowd surfing from one end of the street to the other. It was really cool. That I'm like, I only made it maybe about a quarter of the way, and then somebody dropped me on my head. But I'm like, I mean, if that's the easiest way to get down the street is just to surf on the crowd of people, like, can you say you did that? It's like how high five people as they're going by, like just it's just like like the sea of hands pushing you along. My buddy and I were doing that, and then we kind of got separated. And they said if we get separated, meet at the bus shelter right there. And it's like there's like 4,000 people between you and the bus shelter, and it's like wow, you know. So socialization, I can grab a participation trophy for that one for sure. But that was one of the things that kept people in upper spirits was getting together, right? The social, as they call it. And we don't have that as much because our society has gone very antisocial, very hyper neurotic, hyper individualistic, and antisocial. That's pretty much what you get in a modern society, modernity, right? Whereas even though we, in the 80s and the 90s, well, particularly in the 90s, we're the slacker generation, right? Spinning on our heads all the time, um, breakdancing and stuff like that. We were very social, and because we were very social, that translates to today. Like, okay, how do you get people's spirits up? Well, we know what worked in the past and worked really well was large gatherings, right? But you say, well, you can't do large gathering now. It's because everything's shut down. Well, that's true. Everything is shut down, but it doesn't mean you can't gather in other ways. Like, you find a way. Some people are going to do online stuff. I wish I could participate more on the online, what's called the live stream. I wish I could do that. I can't really do that from where I'm at because I don't have the internet capabilities to do it, and I can't. My provider can't upgrade me because it just it's like I'm on the edge of civilization. I'm lucky enough to get internet as it is, so I can't upgrade to an unlimited internet where I could do live streaming all the time because that would be pretty cool. But even that doesn't quite cut it. Like that gets you social to a degree, right? But it doesn't get you with the people. So think a little bit smaller and think like visiting a friend or something, that doing something like that. If you can get a couple of guys together and you're in a band, if you're lucky enough to find people to jam with, trust me, the world can go by very quickly, uh, you know, and very enjoyably while you're jamming. Like time flies when you're having fun, right? But you can start looking at stuff like that, like smaller, whatever you can get away with but just doing stuff together. Learn how to play chess. Occupying your mind with that. Start a book club. Maybe those aren't my kind of things. Chess I used to do a lot, but something like that. If you want to have a lot of fun, board games. Like, get 3, 4 people together and do board games. Except for Mad Gap. Never play Mad Gap. Never do that. Your brain will hurt. Your brain will hurt. You'll have a lot of fun, and your sides will be sore from laughing the next day. But your brain will hurt. It will hurt badly. Why? Because it just is what it is. But there was a friend of mine. That's what we used to do a couple of years ago. It was just she would have a couple of people over to the house, and we'd play board games. And each week it was a different board game, right? And the only board game that ever really disturbed me was Operation. Because did anybody ever realize like the guy was awake for the operation? That's morbid. Anyway, but yeah, so but yeah, like stuff like that. And you know what? I can guarantee you, whatever you're going through in your life, when you get together with the right people, and you hang out and you do something semi-productive, even if it's a movie night, whatever. But you go and you have a socialization of whatever you can get away with, in your area, whatever you can get away with. I can guarantee you always feel better the next day. Why? Because it's just you've connected with somebody, and that's, I think, the biggest thing that we're up against is the lack of connection. Uh, where the kids aren't connecting with anybody, the adults aren't connecting with anybody, the teenagers aren't connecting with anybody, nobody's connecting with anybody. Why? Hyper individuality, right? And the thing going on in the world, right? At the making of this video. So that's what I would really, really encourage people to do, because I think that, yeah, it's going to be easier in the spring for people to get together. In wintertime up here in Canada, people typically don't go anywhere because, like I say, it's minus 30 out. Your vehicle's probably not going to start. So if you can't go to the pubs, you can't go to the bars, you can't go to the movie theater, you can't go here, you can't go there, regardless of what your status is, maybe you can do something else. Learn to tell a good joke, a good clean joke. Yeah, dice clay. There you go. Um, I would pick up hobbies. Like one thing I used to do when I was younger, and it's one of those things that kind of transcends age. So let's say you're a dad and you've got a bored son at home. Uh, get some model cars or model airplanes to build. You have to find a spot in the garage where you can use the little, the airbrush gun to paint them up. But other than that, if get into something like that, like I built, I don't know how many airplane models when I was a kid, because there was no internet when I was a kid, right? So what did you do in the wintertime? Well, okay, yeah, you can only go sliding and play hockey so many times. That's the other thing too. Okay, you don't necessarily have to be indoors if the weather is mild enough. Like I'm waiting for a little bit more snow. It's actually almost been too cold to snow here, actually, but a little bit more snow so my nephew and I can have our toboggan drag races, right? He's been looking forward to it, and I've been looking forward to it. But at minus 30, yeah, we're staying in the house. That's just not going to happen. So get out and do that. Like, just go out, do stuff with, like, meet somebody on a hill somewhere and go tobogganing. You can have you'll have a blast. Um, and you can do this pretty much anywhere there's snow. And if you're in a country where there's no snow, well then go out skateboarding, go out bicycling, go out hiking, uh, do something. Just go out and do something together. Camping, whatever it is. Just go out and do something with somebody else. I know it's hard to connect with people these days, but if you can, you will not regret it. I can guarantee you won't regret going out at night on the town. You know what I mean? In the back way. You know what I mean? Like take the Dukes of Hazzard route. You know what I mean? Like kind of off the beaten path. There's all kinds of stuff you can do, and I think for your own mental health and stuff like that, because there's some people that are just not doing well right now. Like they're just sitting there terrified in their, you can't do much for those people, but if you can kind of get them out of their shell a little bit, stay within your inner circles. Like I say, you're going to find that a camaraderie. You're going to find people that you can connect with and do stuff with, right? Now, if you're one of those people that don't really care much for that, it doesn't really bug you at all to be alone or whatever, but you're just bored. Well, like I say, pick up a hobby. Start painting, start learning a musical instrument. Right now, almost I've checked like Sweetwater, I've checked local, well, I don't really have a local music store. All my music stores are about 60 miles away, any direction I go. And it's the same thing at every store. Is all the budget instruments like basses and guitars and stuff like that, they're all sold out now. Some of it is because of supply shortage, but most of it is just so many people are picking up the hobby. So like all the beginner guitars gone. Like all the expensive stuff is still there because people can't afford it. But it's like even on Sweetwater, it's like almost everything's out of stock. Long and McQuaid, one of the bigger guitar stores across Canada, almost everything's out of stock. Like they still got like a whole bunch of Gibsons on wall, but nobody can afford the Gibsons, even though I have two. But you get the idea. So there's stuff like that. Fitness equipment, working out. This is something that make your indoor routine something, right? So for me, I work out. I got a set of dumbbells, and I'd like to have two sets of dumbbells, but I've got the old-fashioned ones with they're cast iron, which is nice, but they got those basically you bolt them together and you can change you can add weights or take away weights. So I like those dumbbells. They're really good, but I also like the cast iron ones that are just a set weight. So I have some light ones and have some heavy ones. So I've got like 200 pounds of weights. I can't even fit them all on my dumbbells, right? But I'd like to have two sets of dumbbells just so, I could, do really heavy and then really light and do that. But, I can work out at home anytime I want, and, you don't have to get obsessed with it, but you can, there's something that's going to keep you going, you know what I mean? And it's going to be good for you. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do, other than just playing video games. Like, I mean, back in the day when we played video games as Gen Xers when in the arcades, it was a social event. You know, what I mean, like I remember the arcades quite fondly. You had about $1.50 on you, and you just paced it out, but you were mainly there to hang out with your friends. And sometimes the girls would come along, and you'd hang out with them too. Um, so that's kind of what I think kept people balanced was if you're going to be bored together. You know what I mean? Pick up a hobby, do something exciting, do something active. Do something active. Um, like yeah, people get they can only do so much cycling and walking around and stuff like that. I get that, or skateboarding or whatever. Yeah, you can only do so much of that, and then and of course the older people, they're not as active as that, right? So they're not going to be skateboarding, they're not going to be cycling, they're not going to be doing stuff like that. But they can still do other things, They can still do other things. If you're lucky enough to have a garage, like go get an old car for cheap and see if you can get it running again, and then sell it. You know what I mean? If I had a garage, I could be working on my uncle's truck right now and my other two trucks, which all three trucks are mine. But so I could be restoring the tribute truck, working on my motorbike, finish recording my album, and maybe even get a jam session going in there. And on top of that, if it had an internet at that garage, I could do live streaming. World would be my oyster. But sometimes you can't always get what you want, right? So find another way. So yeah, picking up new hobbies, highly recommend it. Learn a new skill. Some people, okay, maybe get into books. Like I'm not a bookworm myself. I've never been a bookworm. I probably never will be a bookworm. But I always like learning new things, different ways. Take up breakdancing. Just don't break your head. Breakdancing was quite cool. I got to admit that was quite cool. I could do the worm really good. I remember that. I only did the head spin like once or twice, or I could do it, but just barely. But anyway, I thought I'd make this quick little video just for the sake of making something, get people out of their heads a bit, and maybe just kind of, take up dancing, just do something. Like if you got a girlfriend or a wife, take up some dancing, ballroom dancing, break dancing, regular, anything. Just do something, right? I don't know what else I got. I thought I'd make a quick kind of video about this. Yeah, I guess, what else can I say? Yeah, clean up your house. Go through your stuff. Yeah, there's a good thing. Go through all the stuff you own and just like, you know, get ready for your spring cleaning. You know what I mean? Do it early. Take inventory of everything you got, right? And then whatever you don't need, get rid of, and maybe sell it, give it away, whatever. Get rid of all that stuff and get something good with it. Get something good with it. That's a good idea. Look at what you can, other than online courses, like look at stuff that you can do with other people. I think is the more important thing. Just because if you can find people to do stuff with, even if it's lower numbers, you don't have to be in big crowds to have fun, right? You can, again, just look at things like courses you could take, anything, just to get you out of the house, and see what you can get away with, right? See what you can get away with. Create something new. Just create something new. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I got. So anyway, if you like the video, all links are down below to help support the channel. Be sure to check out my new Blogger link, and my SoundCloud link will be up as soon as I get it. I already have some stuff on SoundCloud, which you can find through my Blogger link. But when I get my songs out, I'll do that. So next up, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others, always do the right thing. Have yourselves a great day, eh?